And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to a wonderful evening. And our guest tonight is Tony Mills, Soul Whisperer from the New Forest area. Tony, sir, good evening to you.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me, Lawrence.
Thank you for accepting. As we were just having our little chat before we went live, it's just so wonderful at this time. All these different thoughts, energies, practices are just coming so much more to the fore, and people are out there and really quite desperate and eager to learn new ways and new understandings. And I always say, everybody watching, whether you're watching tonight live online or if you're watching on catch up later on, if you can go along with what's said, absolutely wonderful. If you can't go along with it, absolutely wonderful. You know, we're not here to tell you this is the right way, just saying this is a way. Tony, sir, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Right. Well, I'll start at the I became an osteopath. You know, I could go on forever before that. I started my proper career perhaps as an osteopath. I will have done kinesiology, massage, Reiki master, but it's during osteopathy I discovered that that people were getting better when they saw me. Great. However, perhaps 3 months, 6 months, they may come back again and again, and perhaps again and again, you see. And I thought, this is great. They feel good afterwards, but nothing was changing in their lives. The reason I felt was still there. So, and I then found that I could actually douse the spine with divining rods and find out what each vertebra says. Each vertebra speaks to us. It has a message, a particular message. Even the intervertebral discs have messages. So I could douse, and when they said a command and I fed in an energy, which was a guide that I really didn't know anything about, really. I just thought it was energy, and then people started seeing this guide, which was actually, then they said, there is a big Native American standing behind you. And I was a bit skeptical, so I thought, you know, everyone's got a Native American. So I carried on, but amazing things carried on happening. And I found that I could work on several people with the same vertebra and things would start correcting without having actually touching them. And then I just opened up then, say, right, the meridians have feelings. The chakras have feelings. So I found I could douse the chakras, the meridians, and many other different systems, and things would start changing in a big way for people. And what was happening really is that I was connecting up with their soul path. And this is our ultimate. What is our most important thing? Is to follow our soul path. So after some time, people had asked me, well, can you teach me this? I said, no, this is a guide working through me. I can't really teach you. And then I moved down south, and in the early hours of the morning, I saw an image. I sat up in bed, saw this image, and didn't know what it's for. I got up and I drew it, and I came across a book called Feelings Buried Alive, put them both together, and found that what I'd channeled, it was a sacred geometry, and it was a device that connects you with your higher self and your subconscious mind. Okay. So this is called the living lens. And by someone holding this first in the right hand and the left hand, it clears the negative programs that we've inherited, feelings, belief systems, and thoughts that we've inherited. And by releasing those, it actually releases the physical pain. You see, our body is our best friend on earth. And what it's trying to do is express the literal feelings that's causing this. I mean, very simply, someone's a pain in the neck or someone's a pain in the butt, okay? They're simple things, but I can go into very deep areas, different sections of the body, and work on them. Because when you deal with the reason, which are very often very strong, uncomfortable truths, then the body no longer needs to express it. It's like a little child pulling at your coat. It's trying to tell you, there's something wrong here. And it'll keep on nagging us until we face that truth. And this is where I found I could go to that area, and by the person holding this device, the living lens, they would clear these programs, and not only clear these negative thought forms, but I could bring in positive, strengthening thought forms as well, so that then they could walk away feeling amazing. And this can be sometimes in one session. That is the amazing thing. But we are more than one session, I suppose. If you think of my life and all the things I've accumulated, the older we are, the longer the program we've accumulated. Young people clear things amazingly. Children, wow, And the beauty of things as they are now is that I can work by Zoom. So I'm Australia, America, Canada, all over the world. And the point is, they don't have to hold this device. I can hold it, and they start moving. And they'll release things, they'll move, they'll cry, they'll laugh, as if they're in the same room as me. So that is the amazing thing about it. It really is a transformer. And it doesn't matter what the condition is in a way, because it's, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, it's part of the soul path. So it's trying to get that. There's some way it'll get a message over. Whether it's a shoulder pain or it's depression, it doesn't matter. It's trying to get, whether it's an illness or an accident. It's what has happened to it and what area of the body. That's how it talks. If we move back before all the medical terminology, the main thing is what we felt, whether it's pain or discomfort and what area, and that's the important thing, really. We can give all kinds of terms to things, but literally it's what do we feel, and that's where I go.
I really get that. Quite common, isn't it? And I've seen it many times with people. They have a row with somebody 25 years ago, forgotten what the row was about, really.
Yeah.
But the minute you mention that person to them, bang, they're back in that energy. So emotionally, it's still there. It's still a living entity. And I get that with the body as well.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah. I mean, a good example of that is Christmas. Okay. There's a lot of joy there, but there's a lot of sadness and loss, because what it does, it reminds you of parents, it reminds you of losing someone, or someone comes to you who you may not want to be with you, and that you go to someone they don't want to be. There's a kind of like an anniversary of pain sometimes. So that's an example. We have, and all it needs, like you said, all it needs is a word, actually. Literally, at the beginning was the word, because one word you can go weak at the knees with, but one word can make you feel absolutely amazing. A good example of that is no hope. Okay, and then you put in hope, just those two, immediate different change.
Yeah, good example. Yeah, we are very much, we tend to neglect at times our words are our powers.
Yes.
I'm well known. People say, "How are you?" and I say, "I'm lovely."
Yes.
And that all came about because I went and sat with the medium, and she once said from the address, saying, "Do you know what? When you say to people, 'How are you?' and they go, 'Oh,' she said, that's how you're making yourself." She said, "So and that really resonated with me." And I go, "Yeah, I'm lovely," and it brings a smile to people, and it does keep you upbeat. Just a word, word. Yeah, very good.
Yes. So that's true. It's funny you say that, because someone came up to me and said, that person said, "I'm lovely." I said, "I know you're lovely, but how are you feeling?"
Yeah, I get that. I don't tell them that bit. I don't want to depress them.
Well, we've all got something. We only grow from the tough stuff and the thing. We only grow from that. If everything was nice in the garden, everything was lovely, there'd be no growth at all. Okay, you cannot live in paradise.
Yeah,
You
very
know.
true.
Mm,
You go back to like in mythology with the lotus eaters. That was a
yes.
prime example of I'm just stuck here in happiness, but
Yes.
it's not a good thing.
No. No. And it's like this: the bigger the problem, the more opportunity of moving forward. If you just think of a bow and arrow, the further the strings pulled back, the further the arrow can go forward. And,
True.
and that's how we are. You know, I've been through loads of stuff, but I'm perhaps not glad of it, but I appreciate what it's done to help me grow. Let's put it like that.
This is it, isn't it? It's when we walk up to a mountain and look up at it, we think it's insurmountable, but we lose that energy when we going down the other side and we're seeing new vistas coming up. I know
Yeah,
it's all very prosaic, but it's so true. All our lives, I said this morning in the meditation, you know, never forget you are the sum value of everything you've achieved, everything that you've overcome. You know,
this is
and how
true.
amazing is that? Today you saying, "Oh, I'm not worth anything," but you probably
Yeah,
just come through 3 really bad relationships, a loss of people close to you, and you've overcome all that. So how can you honestly say I'm useless? You know?
yes. But you see that the thing is too is our self-talk. That's a problem. You know, by using this device, there's a talk that goes through it, and it kind of it neutralizes a lot of the self-talk because we don't may not say it aloud, but we say, you know, I'm stupid doing that. And if we do say negative things in our lives, you know, all of us, but if we continually say it to ourselves, that is the one, you know, the lack of value and lack of self-worth is continually telling ourselves that. And the subconscious mind's there's listening. Oh, I'm used to this. Okay, I'm used to this. And it's just taking it on board. And then it feeds it back by drawing people to reinforce that situation. That is the point.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, we are our own worst critics at times. I mean, it's a healthy thing to assess what you're doing,
Mm.
but it's unhealthy, I think, to obsess on what you're doing. And when we
True.
do that, and you know, I'm just as guilty. I find myself going through phases where I have to say, "Stop doing that," because I've
Yes.
recognised that my reaction to triggers is
Yes.
detrimental to me being a person, and I
Yes.
really have to work hard. People must hear me and think, "Oh, the nutter's off, it's talking to himself again." But you really do have to pick yourself up and recognise these detrimental triggers that you have,
Yes.
and say, "No, no, no. If you think that, you're going to create it. So no,
Mhm.
don't go there."
You
I
see
did.
what?
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
sorry.
Carry on.
Well, what you're showing here is first of all an awareness. That's where we've got to start. You know, there's loads of people walking down the street with the lack of, they're not aware. But you're aware when we become aware that we're saying these things and that they're not appropriate for us. That's a really good. That puts you on the move already forward.
It's a lovely comment there from a lovely lady. It's an art to be our own best friend, not our own worst enemy. How
This
true.
Thank you, Fiona. That's a really nice comment. And that is the thing that people seek friends. But if we can't be friends with ourselves, you know, everyone says about, oh, you must love yourself. But just go back to being friend. How am I with my own company? You know, can I go somewhere and be happy with my own company? That is so important. You know, when you have to have a need for companionship, other people to reinforce that, a need for love instead of just a want and enjoyable to be with someone.
Yes, that is extremely true. Do apologise. Somebody just messaged her having trouble getting in.
Okay,
I've just pointed them quickly in the right direction, gesturing, trying to
okay,
listen as well at the same time.
okay.
Yeah, we've got that power. Everybody has got that power within themselves. That's my firm belief. You
Yeah,
know, we can overcome a multitude of things simply by believing, trusting, and understanding. You know that we are all reflections of the divine. We've got that divinity within us, and we've done so much. There's not one person watching here tonight that hasn't overcome things me and you may go, oh God, no, I couldn't do that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, no, that is true. You know, we forget what we've done or what we've achieved in spite of this perhaps terrible start in our life. You know, birth trauma, you know, bullying, all those things, and here we are in spite of that, and that's an achievement. That's
Huge,
huge.
huge.
Yeah.
There's an old adage in training about the brilliant footballer who makes brilliant goalkeeper. Beg your pardon, you can tell I'm not a sportsman.
Well, I'm not either.
The brilliant goalkeeper who makes 99 great saves, but everybody remembers the one that he let through. And
Yeah.
we tend to do that to ourselves, don't we?
We
You know?
do, and there's a kind of we tend to seek what's wrong. You know, it's like it's the built-in programs that are very inappropriate for us, really. And there's a lot of programming. I mean, we are actually our ancestors, aren't we? We're the ancestors program, and this you don't want to imagine what's gone back there in the past. And so, you know, that's dealing with that alone can make a big difference. The programs that we inherit, and especially things like abuse. You know, it makes you wonder who hasn't been abused these days.
Yeah, yeah, very true. And is that immortal? I always know when I do a certain things in my behaviour, I think, oh, I've turned into my mother.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny that because it becomes a pink elephants thing. You see, it's like, oh, I don't want to be like my mother, and so the subconscious mind remembers mother. Okay, and we get that focus.
Yeah. Lovely Sue Townsend.
Okay,
Asking a question there.
unprogram the root to the mental self assassination, which is to affect on physical. Well, yeah, yes, these are the areas I look at, because there is a root to these programs, and it's actually what I do is to seek the root of it, because the root of it is in it's our foundation to our life. It's like the base chakra is our root, relating to the father and feeling safe and protected. And when we go there, things begin to change. So, you know, but what happens is that there's a lot of things like abuse happened in the root chakra because it's to do with that male authority figure, and sacral chakra with the mother, and then there's a lack of nurturing. And what happens is if there's been a trauma or even birth trauma, energetically we escape as far as we can go. Okay, so we as far as we can go is the crown chakra. We hit a head against the crown chakra, feel spacey and not grounded. So those who are very spacey and not grounded have tried to escape that initial trauma, and they end up spacey, drifting. But unfortunately, it also cuts you off from the infinite as well. And that's why it's so important to deal with this. And things like birth traumas are very relevant to our root of all things. Because we can feel our parents' feelings. You can feel your mother's feelings while you're in the womb. That's the thing. And even conception, if it's very inappropriate or forceful, the seed picks up the energy. That is the amazing thing. And then the baby comes out screaming, perhaps. That's how much everything is connected. But it is important. Everything can be looked at and altered and strengthened and released. It's, of course, you're getting the right path and finding the right tools. And that's why I use as many tools as I can to come in and find out where it's all coming from.
That's very interesting. I've not heard that thought put out there before. I've never had it myself, and I've not thought of that. But actually, it does make a lot of sense. It really does. I used to, in my varied career on the railway, for a while, I was working in a department where we investigated all the delays.
Yes.
And it was always about getting back to the root cause of everything. And you had to go through a lot of process and a lot of study to find out that one train was late out of Bournemouth because the night before a train was late leaving Edinburgh Waverley, and the knock on. But
Yes.
that process I use quite a lot in trying to find out when somebody says something. I go, okay, I've heard your words, and that's camouflage. What are you
Yes.
really saying? Where's
Yes.
that coming from?
Yes.
Why do you feel that? Do
Yes.
you understand? And it's such an interesting process. It's not just taking a sentence from somebody as being gospel.
No, no. And there's always, this Sue brought up. There's a root. The root is so important, isn't it? It's like a tree. Okay.
Yeah.
Without the root, I mean, perhaps it can do with that a few branches and leaves, okay, and perhaps a bit of loss of bark. But without the roots, that's it, folks. And by strengthening the roots of a tree, then it's got more opportunity to be big and strong. But if you've got weak roots, it has a tendency to fall over in high wind or die through drying up. So that the roots are really is a key to everything. It really is a root of a problem. You see, what we tend to do is to go into love and light, okay, and connecting up with love and light and the angels. But if we're not rooted, we're drifting. Native Americans and Aborigines, they work with the earth, but they're so spiritual, but because they're rooted as well. But if we go directly up there, then it might not be appropriate. And also you're open to other energies coming in. That is the point.
Yeah, always teaching people, sitting in circle, developing healing, meditation. Rule number one, always be grounded.
Yeah, good,
Be
really good
grounded.
point. Really good point.
Yeah, and I do like that allegory there about the root of the tree, because even in cases, I suppose, where people say whatever, from whatever reason, historically, they don't want to have any association with their parents, they don't want to be anything like their parents.
Yes.
That reaction is actually caused by their parents in that root. It's an infallible, indelible part of it, because that reaction is actually spawned through that route, and you can't get away from that.
And that's actually a really good point, Lawrence. And I'm kind of approached it from that direction, but that's so true. And thank you for sharing that, because yes, that is, we can't escape our roots, and that's what it's saying. And it's so important, because, well, many people have had trauma from those roots in our lives. That's the thing. And you can understand it. I mean, another one, why do teenagers rebel? Parents' programs are coming through, okay? And of course, the teenager the problem then, but actually it may be just to picking up that program that's not appropriate.
Yeah, very true. I'm
Mm.
not blessed with children. I'm just blessed with cats, and they don't have to be teenagers to rebel. They just do it.
Yeah, well, and yeah, they're quite independent, those cats are. But it really, another thing, it doesn't matter if it's children or animals. They're still, I remember crying my eyes out when I lost a goat, okay? They become part of us, and I think animals are so important, really.
Oh, hugely, absolutely hugely. You mentioned about sacred geometry earlier.
Yes,
My ears really pricked up then,
yes,
because I do align myself partly with Saint Germain, and he is
right,
very much of the sacred geometry.
yes,
My experiences with physical mediumship has always been everything is in lines. It's not floating about. It's all very structured. So I get that. I don't
yeah,
understand. I'm
no,
not in depth master of it by any means, but I do get that geometry is a very important part of our physical, mental, spiritual body, that certain signs, because we've always been one for signs, haven't we, all the way
we
back through
have.
history. we've
Hmm.
always, and signs have always carried a power. Now, is that a power that we have given it, or is that actually that symbol or symbolism
Yes.
is a divination of an older ancient power that we are just barely scratching the surface of at times?
I mean, it's a good point. I mean, this the living lens which I channeled was actually I drew it. It was on red paper. I drew it, and for some reason, it's meant to be red paper. And the lines, I'm not great at doing diagrams, especially lines and things like sacred geometry. But it was just amazing pattern. It was just amazing pattern, and so I knew there was something going on there, you know. But and otherwise, I don't do so much with sacred geometry, but this one is really quite special, actually.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to sort of like Egyptian times, the pyramids, the measurements were so precise.
Yeah,
And you think, well, why was that? Who drew
yeah,
up that plan, and what inspired that absolute precision?
true.
And more to the point, why?
Yes,
What did that allow? So
that's true.
interesting.
And where's it come from? You know,
Yeah.
maybe from somewhere else. I mean, if you think of it, this planet is like a pinprick compared to this universe, and we believe there's no other life on it.
Mm.
It's a bit naive of us to think of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I
Um,
don't know. There's a lot I don't know, and it's just this. I'm kind of surmising now.
well, that's no good. Get off.
Right, well,
Get on somebody who does know.
okay, I go to that don't know site.
One of my favourite readings in certain church services is Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan. I don't know if
All
you're
right, I've
familiar
heard of
with that.
Well, I read Carl Sagan years ago.
That is an awesome reading. Talk about enough to put you in your place.
Right.
It was based on one of the Voyager spacecraft. They took a photo of Earth, the furthest ever a photo of Earth has been done. And it would be like a pinhead on the far wall behind me,
Yeah.
and that would be the Earth.
Yeah.
Just to put it in comparison, and
Yeah.
his writing about it is awesome. Talk about inspired. You
Mm.
know, talking about everybody on there, every king, every thief, every
Yeah.
master, every sweat. It's really good, really good.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
So with the living lens, then Tony, tell us a little bit more about that. Sounds very intriguing.
Okay. Well,
Please,
if
sorry, it's not an interrogation.
no, you can interrogate me. You know, I might crumble. Um,
Yeah, where's the money?
the way it works really is that if someone came to me personally before I did all the Zoom stuff, which I'm really engaged in now, they would I would first of all get a signal from the body, okay, for strong and weak, okay, and then they would hold this living lens, which is that. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going another way. There we are. Can't see it properly, but they'd hold this in their right hand. Okay, so I've got a strong. Say, they go backwards for strong. Okay, and they would. I'm going to put something simple, and if say they've got a lot of anger. Okay, and all you do is it's like this. Let's take it back a bit. Say someone had done something terrible to me or my family, and I'm full of rage and resentment. However, I'm a really nice guy. Okay, so it's not going to go anywhere, is it? I'm even going to blackmail myself. If anyone hears I've got rage and resentment, being a nice guy, I'm in for trouble. But what do you do with a blackmailer? You own up, it loses its power. Now, if I didn't listen to that, okay, so if I didn't listen to my soul, I said, Tony, you know, you're carrying all this rage and resentment. It's not really good for you, really, especially being a nice guy. So, oh God, the gallbladder starts playing up. Terrible. Oh, of course, I can get rid of the gallbladder. So off goes the gallbladder. Don't need that. Then rage and resentment says, oh, I know I could go to the liver. I can go to the heart. You see. So what do you do with rage? What do you do with the blackmailer? You own it. So by holding this in the right hand, I feel weakened by rage and resentment. I keep on repeating that. I feel weakened by rage and resentment. I feel weakened by rage and resentment to get my strong signal. Put it in my other hand. I feel weakened by rage and resentment to get a strong signal. Before, if you'd have tested with kinesiology, and if I'd have said rage, my arm had gone weak. Now it'll be strong. Not only that, the gallbladder says, hey, I'm off for a holiday now. It's as simple as that. The body doesn't need to express these feelings. I've made it as simple as possible that, it's rage. We can go into much more complex feelings, but it's the body has to express the feelings. Okay, the soul has to tell you that this is not appropriate for you, and it can come through. It may try with all kinds of things like depression and people saying things to you, you're not listening, but eventually it has to keep its score. So it'll start bringing pain to the body or discomfort, and it doesn't matter if it's an accident or whether it's an illness. Okay, so if you've got some disease of the spleen, or you've had an accident where you rupture the spleen, it's still spleen. There will be a slightly different story how it happened to work on, but that's how the body expresses it. And when you deal with that feeling, it doesn't need to express it through the body. And it's extremely straightforward and simple. But of course, when I work with people on Zoom now, they don't need to hold this. I can hold this and they're going to move. Okay? They're going to go into strong and weak, and they're going to may cry, they may laugh, but they're clearing programs in a very simple, straightforward way. And we can go to the root of the cause. Okay? Like I use dowsing rods to find where it's all coming from. So I can check whether it's from the spine, whether it's from the meridians, whether it's from the chakras, because they've all got feelings. Even flower remedies are actually vibrational. So we can feed that as well, because the feeling around that can go in as well. And then we can use this by holding this to reinforce it. Positive programs, find out the positive words opposing the negative, and then you're strengthened as well. But if you repeat, I feel weakened by, the subconscious mind says, yes, I am. Oh, you don't need that. And things start changing. And I could say these things, but it really works. That's the point.
I fully get it. On a very basic level, I love swimming, and I haven't been swimming for ages, and it's not doing me any good whatsoever. But part of my swimming routine, I know it sounds a bit weird, when I was deep underwater, if something was really there with me, I would actually scream underwater just to get it out, and I felt so much better.
Wow!
Like you say, you're just drowning a bit, but never mind.
Yeah, it's very symbolic, but actually quite good, really.
Yeah, actually, on the more, not the complex issues, but on the just day-to-day, life, the universe, and people at times.
Yeah. Well,
but you do when you scream, and I mean fear as well. What's people's reactions in fear situations? It's to scream. It's that suddenly I've got an energy, and it's not good, and I need to get shot of that quick.
Yeah.
How interesting.
This is true. I mean, you've got the three things, haven't you? Under some predator is fight, flight, or freeze. And fight, you're going to get angry and do something about it. Flight, you're running. Okay, something's happening. But those who freeze are the worst, because nothing's happening. Perhaps it happens more in men, because us men don't move as quick as women. Okay, I've got to admit it. With change and things like that. But freeze is not good, because nothing is changing. And that is very important. It's frozen with fear, really.
Yeah, and not only retaining that time, but it's maintaining it as well, and it's going forward. You're always going to be continually feeding that energy just to keep it in stasis sat there. How interesting. Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're going
Yeah.
to see a lot of Lawrence running around Paul screaming over the next few days. Enjoy.
Right.
It's all your fault.
Yes. That's all right. I'll try something underwater next.
I've got to get to the beach. I need to
Yeah.
swim. I need to be back in the ocean.
Right.
This is really interesting, Tony. A couple of comments. Annie has just responded to Eddie Rathbone's comment, and you actually did answer it after Eddie had asked it.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point. Thank you, Eddie. That's a good point. I suppose it's a focus. Okay, hang on, Eddie.
that was Annie's response.
Themselves, their own use at all. Yeah. Okay. You see that this is a good point, Annie. You know, I can run courses with this. So the whole idea of this is to self-empower people. Okay, it's not to say Tony fix me. Okay, this is for someone to use when I give it to them or when I'm working with them. They're actually doing the commands, they're clearing themselves. Okay, it's self-empowering. And I also run courses so they can have one of these in the course, and then they've got a tool to empower themselves and clear. And someone on that same subject, someone said, well, can't you use a coin and hold it and try it? I said, go ahead. I said, if you can, great. Because, you know, I'm fine with that. Nothing happened. But once they held this, things started changing. So that is the point. There's some who feel an energy going through it. Some psychics have seen like a cone coming up. I don't see anything like a cone coming off it. So that is the point, really. You know, there's enough room in this world for everyone to do all kinds of healing, and the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, I'm fine with that, whichever way you are. I mean, there's, you know, before this, I wasn't using any devices, but the whole purpose of this is to self-empower. Okay, so it's a bit like Superman going into a telephone booth and spinning and coming out again. You know, you hold this, and that you might have say an emergency. Okay, and you could say, I feel weakened by overwhelm. Okay, we get to it sometimes. You do that, everything just with that word, it changes. It doesn't change your whole life, but it takes the overwhelm off your life. And I'll give you a good example. Seeing Annie came in there, we used to live in Mallorca, and we were walking through the mountains. And with my excellent planning of, I thought it'd take 3 hours. 7 hours later, in the dark, coming down the mountain, getting darker, I heard this moaning behind me. I thought it was Annie, you see, because she's kind of, you know. And I thought, what should we do? Should we go under a rock or something like that till the morning? And she said, well, can I use this? I said, yeah, go on. She said, I feel weakened by feeling exhausted. She kept on repeating that. Next thing, this mountain goat shot past me. She was down. She was ahead of me. I had to run after her. Okay. So that is how amazing it is. That's how amazing. It's just it surprises me actually, because this wasn't pre-planned at all. It came, and I'm really grateful it came to me, and thank you very much, because it's transforming people all over the world with many different conditions. And, you know, doesn't matter if it's thyroid or leg problems or anything really. It just makes such a difference. If you get to the right words and the right feelings, then things begin to change. That is the point.
Yeah, and accepting that there is an issue there as well. Like I say about the root cause.
Yes.
And understanding that actually all the headaches are caused by the tension, which is caused by whatever emotional issue is going on at the time. It's not necessarily a sign of something there. It's something here is resounding or reflecting back there.
Yeah.
I'm liking this lots.
Yeah. Well, I had another example. I run workshops in a festival, And this lady came, and I did some work with her. And there's some amazing changes. Anyway, I'm not going to go into detail of that. And she felt great. That evening, she went dancing, okay, because she was so full of joy. Next morning, the day she's supposed to go, she couldn't move. Her leg had actually locked up, okay, couldn't drive home. So I checked it out, and what the program was is that um, she she was punishing herself when she felt joy in her life. Her parents would she'd be punished for when she started being silly, having fun. So what we do is we keep it going. Okay. So once I worked with that, it cleared. She walked and she drove home. Okay, that is how instant we accept things that are not right for us, and but how quickly they can also clear. That is the point.
Yeah, very true. Actually, it's more common, I think, than people really are aware of, that we don't actually allow ourselves to enjoy something or to
No.
just sit back and relax. I'm terrible. I get up and I need to be doing things, and it's taken me
Yeah.
quite a long time to go, actually, you're doing it.
Right.
You're awake, you're conscious, you are doing something.
Yeah.
If anything else happens, happy days. If not, don't beat
Yeah.
yourself up.
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
That is the point. We do tend to. You see, it's like this. Say you've had a punishing time from parents, say abuse or something like that. Energetically, you'll say, "Look, you don't need to do this anymore. Okay, I'm going to do it to myself." This is just saying this energetically, and you do it even worse to make sure they don't get any more of that. Then the rest of your life, you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
That's the extent we can do things to ourselves. It's a lot of self-punishment when, when it's been in the past and they're not even around. We can keep it going.
I don't think there's a person not watching who's never had somebody saying to them themselves, "Stop being so hard on yourself."
Yes, yes, that's so true. It's time to be gentle on ourselves. That is the secret.
Yeah. Interesting question here from Jamie Williamson.
Yeah,
He asks great questions. We love Jamie.
trauma that is carried over from a previous incarnation. Okay, now the trauma will come in very often as a birth trauma. Okay, and that's where I deal with it. I could also actually, if we talk directly to ancestral trauma, you could say ancestral sexual abuse. Then the body knows all this, of course. The body knows the whole story. The body knows the whole family history. The body knows all that ancestral stuff. So you are like a walking library. So we just address it, and then things start changing. And birth trauma is a good example of that. It is, because you're coming in with that trauma, if there's a past trauma, and then already that sets you up. The birth trauma is then an epicenter of an earthquake. And the earthquake, you get aftershocks in different phases of your life: teenager, getting married, divorced, and all that, car accident. They're all aftershocks from the birth trauma that we came in with. But that birth trauma came way back from other traumas. And so we are the expression of our ancestors and the ancestors' programs. And you can go back as well to speed things up. That can make a difference if it's very complex. But just working on a birth trauma can make a big difference to someone.
Wow. Wow. There you go, Jamie.
Thank you,
Uh,
Jamie, for asking.
Love you, Sue Townsend again. Oh, that's a good
Okay,
question. I
hi,
like
Sue.
this. Yeah.
Actually afraid to get well because it would be, yeah. Yes, that's a really good point.
Mm.
There can be a safety in illness. Okay, I mean, it's scary to change for many people, and it could be scarier than anything. It's better the devil you know, and it's in a comfort zone. All these sayings, and you're right. If they only knew they climbed over that wall, that it's beautiful outside. Climbing over the wall sometimes is uncomfortable. I must say. Sometimes there's some kind of stones on top, but once you got the other side, it's a new life and it's amazing. I've climbed over some really terrible walls, I'll tell you, but I really appreciate it, and it's really coming into its own now. But there's a fear of change is one of our biggest fears, I think. And of course, what's happening now? We're in massive changes around us. And I'm not going to go into any theories or whatever, that if the overall picture is change, and we've got to be prepared for change, whether we like it or not. And also, we need to look at not that changing the world and that we need to, it's bringing us back to ourselves to change, isn't it? That's the thing. So it's actually bringing us back to looking, more of us are looking into ourselves now and beginning to see, okay, what's happening here? And that changes your world. You're the producer and the director of your film, okay? So you can produce and direct a horror film, or a comedy, or an adventure, okay? Now, just think of these producers and directors who did these type of films. What type of person did continually do horror films? What type of person is always doing romances? I'm sure there's a difference in that personality. So that's how we create our own reality. We can change it. That is the point. But that's a good point, Sue. You've got some good points there. Thank you. Joan. Hi, Joan. Yes. Yes, it can. Yes, definitely. You're going to, a trauma is a trauma. You see, the point is that initial birth is the whole purpose of a birth, to bring it into this world, is to feel nurtured and loved. And that's a purpose, what a mother does. A man is there for safety, and you know, to be rooted. So a birth trauma can occur, and it can happen after, it can be triggered. You see, certain people, so that the mother, the adopting mother, may trigger the initial birth trauma. You see, that is the thing, because there's a relation. There's a relation. Anything that can trigger something brings it up, because it needs to be taken and brought up. You see, the soul wants you to bring it up. It doesn't want you to carry it. You know, here's a good saying for you: whatever you do, don't open the can of worms. Okay, so you carry the can of worms all your life. No, you let it out. Put some really nice stuff in there.
Yeah.
We go by all these sayings, which are really inappropriate. But all these things can change. The soul will try different ways to get it. See, you might think, well, I'm no longer in that situation with my original parents, which was very traumatic. I'm now with a couple of lovely people who are bringing me up. The problem is still there until it's released, because it has to be released, because that's the purpose, is to release that. Yeah, you see, the good is a good point. You see, I used to start. You've got good points here. I used to start when I worked in workshops with people energetically. I got them to say Louise Hay's positive commands for each condition or wherever it was. But what I was missing is what lies beneath. You see, and that we have to clear the negative, or it's just still lying beneath. We can be very positive and open and bring in love and light, but we've got to deal what lies beneath, because it's going to pop up sometime when we're not expecting it, or when something triggers that trauma. So it is great having positive affirmations. I really do believe in that. But I do believe that we can hide a lot, because a lot of stuff is scary and not to bring up. So we hide it. We pretend even. You know, I feel fine. You know, I get very worried about people who are continually smiling. Okay. Very often there may be something very serious behind it, because we're laughing on the outside, crying on the inside. And we need to start laughing on the inside. That is the point. So I do believe in positivity. I'm a Leo. I'm a very positive guy. Okay, one of the most positive around, I think. But I'm aware that I've carried stuff that really I needed to let go of. And being a man as well, things don't let go as easily with us men. So that's why women move. That's why I have a workshop with all women. Okay, no men, because they're open to change, and still, yes, always end with positivity. But we still need to address anything that lies beneath or is hidden. Thank you, John.
Lovely Joan there from Philadelphia. Thank you, darling. Oh, Fiona Parry Dodd. Oh, here we go. Nice.
Yeah, afraid she does. It does. It will pick up everything. I'm going to give you an example of this. I was in Berlin, and a young youth came to me with a parent, and he wanted to ride horses, and but he was allergic to horsehair. Okay, and he was very distressed. So they brought him to me, and I said, "Well, what's happened here?" And she just remembered when she was pregnant, they were riding horses, the husband and wife. Okay, and they had a terrible argument while they were on the horses. Okay, and that's the reason he's allergic to hair. Once that was cleared, child was all right. Okay, so yes, they can feel what's going on outside there, even as far as conception. That is the point. But you don't say, oh my God, Fiona, don't say, oh my God, and this is terrible, this is, it can be cleared. Okay, I can also be cleared. I work with people on Zoom, and but I can also work from a photograph. And that makes a big difference. I can work from a recent photograph as if, again, we're connected. And that makes big differences, especially with children. And that's the advantage. The younger the child, the quicker the change. They haven't been programmed as long as someone like me. Okay. The centuries of programming here, but a young child changes. You'll notice that when they have a cold, a gum, when an adult, it goes on forever. So it can, I'm saying that yes, it can, but it can also change. Okay, you're welcome, Fiona.
Absolutely wonderful. So interesting. You talked there about even working with photos and that connection.
Yes.
And I'm a very firm advocate that we are linked. We can't help it. We are spirit. We are here. We are of this earth.
Yes.
And we are all linked. And if we can utilize our own understandings and powers, then you know what? Nothing is unachievable to us. But it's that stops us sometimes reaching the greatness that is available to us.
This is true.
I'm loving this.
We've also got to think of, be careful what we think about. This is the thing. Wouldn't life change if if we could all read people's minds? It'd be completely like, but we don't realize even the most thick-skinned person can perhaps read our minds. And then when you have all this thing happening with COVID and that, you don't realize that you can read other people's minds and they can read ours. And so that's why it's good to put as much love and forgiveness out in this world. We use this word a bit flippantly, love and forgive, love myself. But actually, by doing that, putting out, thinking nice thoughts and putting out nice feelings can make one big difference. That's what I feel.
Yeah, very, very much so. Something I often say on the platform is that, we're human. We are spirit, but we're living this human experience. So you've just got to be kind to yourself. And we're not perfect,
No.
And if you can't genuinely love somebody, at least try not to hate them.
Yes.
because
Yeah.
if we send, I always say this, if you can send out healing with that hand, you can send out something else with the other hand.
Hmm.
There is no difference. It's
No,
energy that you're sending out.
it is. It is. We're electromagnetic, and going back to when you're saying about earth, the roots, we that's why it's good to earth ourselves, to walk bare feet in grass and the sea, and because we are electromagnetic.
Yeah. Tony, absolutely fascinating evening. I can't thank you enough. I'm
Well,
always
yeah.
I'm always a little bit nervy because I've had so many varied speakers on, and I'm thinking beforehand, I'm really not quite sure where these people are coming from. I don't understand.
Well,
But I
I
tell you
don't
what,
know. If it's any consolation, I don't know where I'm coming from.
oh, that's great. Oh, I can cope with that. But no, it's just so interesting. Even if it were not this time, it took this time to make this happen. If this COVID had not come into the world, nobody would be online. Nobody would be doing anything like this. Everybody listening, you know me, I am not celebrating this fact whatsoever. I'm always extremely mindful of the energies of why we're here. But the opportunities and the advancements are being made are just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal in all different fields, and just understanding, because when we start to understand, we lose fear because we tend to react. If we feel a bit fearful, we react a bit negatively. Oh yeah, no, that's nonsense. Oh no, that's rubbish. But if when people just start to understand, and a few words might strike that same resonance in them, and they go, oh, actually, hang on, yeah, I
That's so
get
true.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so true.
sir, thank you so much.
Thank
You,
you very much.
are you going to go down Lymington now and throw yourself in the sea?
I'm most likely, and I'll try a scream or two. You don't know. I don't surface. I've done too well at screaming.
Have a scream. Well, you need quite a few screams from me at the moment. Never mind. Tony Mills, absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live tonight, and also those people who will be catching us up on Watch Up. Just a little reminder for the church here, tomorrow afternoon at 3:00, our divine service will be broadcast live on our Facebook page. And tomorrow we have with us an absolutely wonderful medium and a brilliant philosopher. And her name has just gone totally out of my head like a banana skin for some reason. That's awful. But I know, I feel terrible now. Yeah, live online at 3:00 tomorrow. I know it'll be a wonderful service, and I'm just I can't believe that I've forgotten her name. It's just gone. I'm getting old. Oh, sorry, negative thought. I'm getting younger.
You are.
Tony, sir, thank you. Huge pleasure. Thank you so much to Annie as well, because she's been very diligent there in the comments, and that's lovely because that brings people in and gives them the answers as well. So well done, Annie. Thank you. So Elaine Bevin is on tomorrow.
Elaine Bevin, right.
Yeah. Sir, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. You take care.
Too.
And thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.